Hey everyone, welcome back to another DNA Masters tutorial. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to complete the Phamerator section of your annotation for every gene and how to generate a Phamerator map. These things are very useful, they're very important, and they're pretty interesting as well. They're used to compare phages, and I see them on a lot of posters at phage poster conferences and everything like that. So it is a very useful program. Let's do it. So now that we have the virtual box installed and we have Phamerator up and running, the first thing we want to do is go up into edit up here and hit preferences. We want to make sure that it's on the correct database. So everything now should be through this server, http://phamerator.webfactional.com/databases_hatful, and make sure it's a capital H because these things are case sensitive. And the database is now one big database, I believe, and it's actino_draft. And if that is correct, all you'd have to do is hit close. Now in Phamerator, proteins are kind of grouped together in things called phams. So phams are groups of proteins that are very similar to each other, which make it easy to identify a possible function for your gene and help you with your annotation process. Alright, so we have this up here, Phamerator. Let's make it full screen. What we're going to do is hit the phages button on this side. Give it a little time. Phamerator does take a little bit of time and computing power to run. So now it has all the phages. So we're just going to search for ours. Here it is, Convoy Draft. Now, if you're wondering how your phage got in here, they usually do it right after the sequencing. So if you got your phage DNA sequenced, they usually take that and do a little processing and put it into a file that they can put into this database. So it should be up here. If your phage is not in here, you may have to update the database. It usually updates automatically each time you run Phamerator, so that may be the only way to do it. But if your database is all the way up to date and your phage still isn't in there, I would ask your professor or your mentor or whatever for some help. But otherwise, if your phage is up here, we're going to select it and we're hit this map button in the top left, and that's going to take a little bit of time as well. Alright, here it is. So this is the Phamerator map. If you want to go ahead and save this and send it to other people and stuff, you can hit the file save as button, and you can save it as a PDF down here, and you can save it onto the desktop. You just have to remember that you are running a virtual machine, so if you save it onto the desktop of the virtual machine, it will be over here, as you can see this. So then you would have to actually go onto Google Chrome or something else, a web browser on the virtual machine, and then email it to yourself, or maybe even put a flash drive in. I'm not sure, I haven't tried the flash drive, but either way you have to get it from the virtual machine to your actual machine. So that's just something to keep in mind. So where did this thing go? Phamerator. And we're going to zoom in here in the top left, and we'll see the name of the phage, Convoy Draft, and we'll see these little boxes with numbers in them. These are actually the genes. So everything above this line here, this measure, is a forward gene, and everything below is a reverse gene. So let's go show you my reverse genes. There they are, the group of 5 reverse genes that are in there. So now everything within these boxes are phams, and you'll see if you mouse over them, a function pops up. So this one says phage terminase large subunit PBSX family. We'll go to the next yellow bar, terminase like family. This family represents a group of terminase like proteins. So all these different phams are popping up, and we'll do this one, also a phage terminase. The thing to note is first how big the yellow bars are. Ideally you want the longest possible. You want the bar to take up the entire gene almost, kind of like it is for 3 and 4, how they take up a very large section of the gene, which gives more evidence that the function that's listed in these pop-up windows are the true function of your gene. So if you have a tiny thing like this, or like number 10, this top here, it may need a little bit more validating, or maybe a little more evidence before you can call it whatever this function is, because it takes up such a tiny section of the gene. As you can see, there aren't phams or little yellow boxes for each gene. These are empty. 6, 7, 8, 9. That simply means that there isn't really a pham or any functions that they can list to those genes quite yet. But as we discover more about phages and their proteins functions, you can expect maybe these to be filled in a couple of years. So 1, 2 is empty as well. So if you have nothing in your gene at all, say if we're working on gene 1, if we have nothing in there, as you can see, there's nothing in here, no phams, we would just simply note on in DNA master in our notes, we'll go to gene 1, and we'll just note in our Phamerator here, we would just say no significant hits. We would just leave it like that. So that's perfectly fine. But if there is something in the in the genes here, if there are phams, which we'll see, we're working on gene 23, so we'll go over here, and as you can see, excuse me, there is a little bit of phams here. There's 4 little things, and we'll mouse over them. So again, a lysine motif is a small domain involved in binding peptidoglycan. They're all showing lysm domains. This one, TFP pilus assembly protein, and then lysm domain again. So again, this is showing more evidence of lysm domains found in the latter section of this gene. So now that we have our function here, we would just maybe mouse over all of them and see if there's a general consensus, like I said. So I think we can all say that the consensus is a lysm domain. So we're going to go back into DNA master and go to gene 23, that's what we're working on. And we're going to note in the Phamerator section here, we're going to say lysm domain, and then we're going to go back to Phamerator. We're going to see just a rough estimate of how much these little yellow bars take up the entirety of the gene. So let's say this kind of looks like a quarter of the gene, so we would just go back into DNA master and say coverage over about 1/4 of the gene, just to give the QC annotator an idea of how much the yellow bars take up the entire gene. And that's pretty much all we need for Phamerator. So again, we just look to see our gene number. If you delete genes or if you add genes, just remember to keep that into account when looking at the Phamerator map. You may have to adjust that number based on your status of your phage, like I said, if you added or deleted genes. But in general, it's very simple. You just kind of mouse over the yellow bars, the functions or the phams, and see if there's a general consensus amongst them. And then you would just note in the Phamerator section of your annotation what the general consensus was in terms of a function, and then you would just say how much coverage the yellow bar had on the entire gene. So that's pretty much all you have to do. It's pretty self-explanatory, pretty easy, and I hope you guys learned something. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.